Ignition sequence starts. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Hey everybody, this is the Digital Asset Investor, and check these numbers out on Coin Paprika. These are, I wanted you to see now think about this, with all the uncertainty out there and with everything going on in the last 30 days, this is the list of things I've been accumulating. Look at, you got Ethereum up 52%, and that's just because the SEC is allowing them to issue their second security. You've got Quant up 50% in the last 30 days. 50%. VeChain 35, Theta 35, CeeLo 24, Hedera Hashgraph. I mean, this is a pretty nice little pattern going on here, folks. Now, check this out. So it turns out, this is Nick Burafeto from Linqto. He's thanking Greg Kidd for being the Linqto guest. So for those of you that don't know, Greg Kidd, Jack Dorsey was literally living in the house behind Greg Kidd's house when he founded Twitter. Greg Kidd was one of the first 10 people at Ripple, and so I'm sure that the guys at Linqto had an interesting conversation. Then Ray Fuentes posted this. Now this is interesting. You've heard me talk about Linqto a lot, but a lot of you may not really understand what it is that's so game-changing about what Linqto's done. This is the CEO, Bill Saris. Watch this. Hold on one second. Let me hit the old refresh button. This is an interesting insight.
So it starts with this, and this was the idea we came up with at Wilson Sonsini conference room like 2.5 years ago in a session that Matthew chaired, an all-day session. We don't have a trading platform on the private sector. Think of it. Every other asset class, and you can go to NASDAQ or NYSE to do your public security stuff. Commodities has exchanges, crypto has exchanges, gold, pretty much every asset class you can get into and invest pretty easily by going through some type of a public exchange. Not so in the secondary market. Secondary market is complex, it's costly, you have to negotiate terms, sometimes you get rofered out at the board level. And because of this, it's become the domain really of very large institutional buyers. Unless you have 250,000, 500,000, sometimes millions to invest, you can't get into this market. But the reality is there are fewer than 1 million individuals invested in this market globally, and there are over 100 million who qualify. You need to be an accredited investor to get it, but that's not a big lift. Most of you are accredited investors. But there's never been the accessibility and the pieces so that we could, as average investors, get involved in this market. And that's where Linqto came in 2 years ago with our point, click, invest model. Open your phone today. If you're a member of Linqto, you can go in, you can choose the product you want, click on 2 buttons, and within a matter of a minute or two, end up owning that asset.
That includes Ripple Private Equity. Now, I have the link to in the top of the description of this video. Go up there and use the link and tell them DAI sent you, okay? Now, this was interesting to me because I've never seen this before. For some reason, Bitrue is an exchange. For some reason, Bitrue decided to put out what they've called hashtag BitrueTA, and this caught my attention. Maybe this is a marketing effort. And if it is, it was a smart one because it got us to cover it. XRP just formed a fresh golden crossover on its 4H chart. It may be a good indicator that XRP might have reached the bottom. Currently, the price movement is respecting 100 EMA lines of support after July end breakout of previous price channel. Breakout target price, 50 cents, which is a little bit optimistic considering a lot of supply area that need to be tested. Thoughts? So I think they might be onto a genius marketing tactic if I had to bet. Now, I just happened to bump into a pretty new video of Cindy Young, who's the managing director from Europe. Pretty sophisticated lady. Listen to what she says. This she's talking about the 10 trillion that's sitting in Nostro Vostro accounts.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, kind of to take a step back and understand kind of the inefficiencies we're talking about, right? Today, about $10 trillion just sitting in accounts around the world waiting for a payment to be made in that one country in the right currency, right? The typical way of money transfer companies, banks, the way they make payments is they park the right currency in the right country so that they can do that, as kind of real time and the right time as possible. But as I said, it's $10 trillion, which is very inefficient, right? Sitting there doing nothing, idle. About 6% of, payments that are sent globally get stuck. Nobody knows where they are. So there's, a lot of massive problems. It still takes about, 2 to 3 days to send a payment, depending on where you are around the world. So there's a lot of those inefficiencies, and an example of kind of what we bring to the table with RippleNet, and specifically the on-demand liquidity solution on RippleNet, which essentially uses XRP, which is a digital asset, as a bridge to move money, to move fiat around. What it brings is real-time settlement, not having to, the company, the financial institutions no longer need to park these funds. There's 10 trillion around the world. They can use that funds instead to fuel their growth, grow their companies. Real-time, it's 24/7, 365 days, right? So somebody wants to plan the payment Christmas morning, it can still get there. So those are the 24/7, 365 liquidity, real-time settlements, are some of the efficiencies that we bring to customers.
All right, and then there's this one. This is about the private ledger. Listen to this.
So from the very, very first days, Ripple has always worked with governments, regulators, others, other fintechs in the ecosystem, banks, fintechs, you name it. It's always been a very much partnership mentality.
Yeah.
And today it continues, right? We have part of our business has created, for example, a private version of the XRP ledger, which allows governments basically issue and manage central bank digital currencies. Again, we have partnership with government of like Bhutan and Palau, that's out in the public. Good examples, we're part of Digital Pound Foundation in the UK, again working with the non-profits and the governments to help the thinking and design and implementation of potentially a digital pound.
Did you catch
so
that?
There are many working
let's
with
listen to that again. I think I heard her say they're working on the implementation of the digital pound.
And working with the non-profits and the governments to help the thinking and design and implementation of potentially a digital pound.
Potentially the digital pound. Boom.
So there are many examples, but I think it has really helped in a way differentiate Ripple as well in the market, because now, some of the more traditional players in the market, maybe 4 or 5 years ago, would not sit and have a conversation about having a digital asset in the payment flow. Today, coming to us and saying, well, we see the future is going to crypto, come help us, and we're becoming essentially the partner of choice for financial institutions who are looking to transform their payments with crypto and blockchain, and really that original, I guess, approach and collaborative approach has really, I think, helped us fuel that growth that I was just talking about.
Okay, now in this next one, she's talking about the XRP price, but she's really not talking about the XRP price, because she's been programmed, just like Brad Garlinghouse and all of them, to not focus on the XRP price, because it's for a lot of reasons. But watch.
I mean, again, I would say we're not, really so much focused on the particular sort of price of XRP or the volatility or any other coin particularly.
That doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if it has a higher or lower market cap.
So if we look at the on-demand liquidity solution, RippleNet, where we are using XRP as a bridge currency, right, to move fiat, around the world, right? That is, regardless of the price of XRP.
All that matters is how many there are. It doesn't matter what the price is.
It's a bridge that we are using as a bridge. So it's not, we're not here really to honestly like speculate and it's a means to an end. It's a means to bring that efficiency to the.
Let me say what she can't say. She can't talk about the price. All the price right now for all these things has been about speculation. But what she knows and what we know is that the more liquidity, the bigger this network grows, that price will grow with it as a natural consequence.
Okay, so, and again, I mean, when these things happen, obviously, like prices drop, etc. For me, what's interesting is when I talk to one of our customers, partners, and the benefits they see, right? A customer, Asmo is a great example. Is one of the big remittance companies. When they can enable their payments, Filipino worker paying, from the UK, sending money to their family to pay for food or housing or hospital or whatever it is, and they can do that at a fraction of the cost. That for me is where the big value is. As opposed to how much XRP is in circulation or not, and
Well, good.
Okay, then we've got this from JV. Let me make sure I follow him. Yes, this is JV. JV the Great. Okay, not sure who that is, but I think he's somebody that's fairly new in XR. Anyway, I've seen him tweet a lot lately. As expected, no settlement anytime soon. Get ready for a summary judgment next year for XRP. Here's John Deaton on Thinking Crypto giving kind of an update.
So this thing could still continue into next year, right? It seems like.
The case itself will, unless there's a settlement, unless there's a settlement, where this case won't be resolved in February, absent a settlement. I think that we're looking at a summary judgment decision at the earliest March. Could be April, could be May even. But obviously, if some kind of light bulb goes off, when people ask me the chances are settlement, I say right now I don't see a settlement at all. Now, if the political pressure builds more and more, and it looks like there's a chance that Congress will pass legislation that gives the CFTC the game, right? If they say you're the referee of this game called crypto, if that happens and Gary Gensler sees that happening, then of course it might behoove him to go to Ripple and say, let's cut a deal, pay this large amount of money. I get to say that, like, I held Ripple responsible and make political, statements, blah, 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 all that kind of stuff. I mean, that could happen, but right now, it doesn't look anywhere close to a settlement. Now that could change, if Judge Torres rules that the documents must be turned over, denies an appeal, and they go up on a mandamus, and December they lose on mandamus, and they have to turn the documents over in January or something like that, and those documents are bad for them, or they guarantee Ripple's victory, well, then why not settle? If you know you're going to lose, then you might as well take some kind of victory, right? So any of that can happen, but I know a lot of people are hoping.
Wouldn't it be ironic if Gary Gensler dropped a lawsuit on Ethereum as he walks out the door? That'd be pretty funny. All right, and then John Deaton's, he's got over 70,000 people that he represents versus the SEC now. So that happened as of this weekend, I guess. And it's Stefan Huber put this out. We miss Joseph Lubin on this channel because he has disappeared. We used to be able to get clips of him holding his elbow all the time. So we're having to look at oldies but goodies. But this one right here is from Stefan Huber. And again, Joseph Lubin seems to know what the SEC is going to do, and he's not even in the SEC.
So far, no projects have gained great traction. And it is hard to imagine building the world's trust foundation and global settlement layer on a VC coin project. The SEC recently gave the EOS project a slap on the wrist for their token sale. But this does not mean a project structured like EOS could have a successful raise at this point. The SEC is tooled up now and very aware. Today it would shut down a sale structured like the EOS sale before it was able to turn on its first billboard in Times Square.
So he really thinks it's hilarious that that he's in with the SEC and can basically talk like he's a part of the SEC, and these other projects have to worry about it. This guy needs to be investigated, no question about it. And anybody that was letting him pretend like he was in the SEC. Now, we also have Ryan Selkis, who blocked me over. The reason Ryan Selkis, he blocked me when I posted I think I posted the video about the disguised whales, Joseph Lubin talking about disguised whales. And I said, well, why aren't you asking about who these disguised whales are? Because he's so critical. He said he was literally on a crusade, which makes his thing a religion, I guess, if he's on crusade. He said he was on a crusade from early on against Ripple, and because they were selling XRP, their treasury and all this. And that was his whole beef. But he's never had any issue with what Consensus was selling, what the Ethereum Foundation was selling, or what was sold to disguised whales. Joseph Lubin sold to he helped whales disguise their purchases in the Ethereum ICO. And Ryan Selkis, I've never seen him going on video just to rail on how shady Ethereum is and its founding and everything around it. And I said the answer to that, the reason he won't, is ETHgate. But right here, tell me, all I ever hear these people, Ripple dumps on people and all, that's all I've heard. Well, what about this? This is Vitalik Buterin.
Very right, fairly quickly. And
but you didn't short it, did you?
So I did get the Ethereum Foundation to sell about 70,000 ETH, like basically at the top, and that's doubled our runway now. So
okay, so you used it to fund things. You're dumping Ethereum on these people. I'm going to skip this. I want to show you this interesting connection shared with me. I've shown this. I've covered this before on this channel. In April 2019, BlackRock hired former Ripple executive Robbie Mitchnick to lead its digital assets area. He also penned a paper outlining a methodology for valuing crypto assets. And this is a calculator that was put together based on a fundamental valuation framework for crypto assets that he did with Susan Athey on the board of directors at Ripple. She's a Stanford professor, and he was he was at the graduate business school. Now, I want to show you something else, because recently we saw that Coinbase was under investigation by the SEC. Then we saw BlackRock announce a partnership with Coinbase. So I went into Gary Gensler's calendar from March 8th, 2022 and found this. He meets with Larry Fink, CEO of BlackRock, on March 8th, okay? And then we find out he's investigating Coinbase. Then we find out BlackRock is partnering with Coinbase. This looks about as shady gets. And what I said here was, if I can get it pulled up. So we're supposed to believe that the largest asset manager in the world partners with Coinbase. Its CEO is meeting with Gary Gensler, but the SEC is investigating Coinbase. I was born at night, but not last night. You know, my question when I see this is, so did Gary meet with Larry Fink and then threaten Coinbase, and then Larry Fink partners with him? Because that's shady if that's what happened. I'm not saying it is. Is that the order in which that happened? Because you know what it would do? Gary's little investigation would knock the price of Coinbase shares down, which I think it did. I'm the digital asset investor, and it would also put Coinbase in a lot less of a bargaining position if some big company came along wanting a partnership or some kind of deal. Isn't that interesting? I'm the digital asset investor. I'm not an investment advisor. This is for entertainment purposes only. Please subscribe, hit the like button, tell your friends and family that I think this is about as shady gets. Thanks.